In part one of our Fine Paints of Europe series, we talked about the history, we talked about the products, and we talked about the options of the paint. And we also discussed why we love the high sheen finish so much. In this part of the series, we're going to focus on the application of the paint, in particular the preparation and then the final finish coat. This is Dan Frost from H.D.F. Painting, the fine art of painting, and this is Talk Shop with Frost. One of the really cool things about having your own painting business is that you can use the products on your own house. I'm really excited about this next video where we're going to talk about using Fine Paints of Europe in our own bathroom. So for this part of the video, we're going to show you how the high gloss is going to make a real difference in a room. Now, before you start any paint project, the most important part is the preparation. So we're going to go through the proper preparation and then the finish coating of Fine Paints of Europe. So I have to begin by telling you that Fine Paints of Europe is a really unique paint product. It's not like anything else you've ever seen or worked with. One of the real keys to making the brilliant high gloss mirror-like finish is to make sure that the area is dust free and the surface doesn't have anything on it, okay? So what that means is we're going to go through sand, vacuum, tack cloth the surface, and then we put in an air system that we can take out the bad air from the room and focus and have come in good filtered air. So those are two of the most important things, that the surface is really nice and smooth and clean, and that the air has no dust in it. Okay, so this at this point in the whole process, you have your substrate that's perfectly clean, ready for the next step, which is primer. There are two choices of primer. There's the Fine Paints of Europe Universal Primer, which is fairly new. It works great as a base coat for the oil Brilliant or any other Fine Paints of Europe product. We really like this product, it's very nice. Or you can go the old traditional oil-based undercoater that has been used since Fine Paints of Europe started. Also a very nice product. If you use the oil base, a couple things you want to do, and we've already done it to that quart. You want to thin it out a bit, and you want to use specifically their thinner, okay? It's a little bit different than the natural, normal thinners. And then you want to use a little bit of penetrol. Put that in the quart, stir it up really well, and you want to strain it to get any dust particles out of there. And then you're ready to go. You're ready to prime. Now there's one other primer source that is used under brilliant coats to get that really high gloss finish, and it's called Swedish Putty. Another name for that is Enduit, which is E-N-D-U-I-T, French for Swedish putty, I guess. But anyways, the Swedish putty works really well, and we'll be showing you how we apply that. So we're going to work with the Swedish putty now. And when do you use the Swedish putty? Well, if you come across a wall or ceiling that has a sort of a nappy look to it and what we call an eggshell finish to it, you want to smooth it out before you put the Brilliant on, you want to skim coat that with Swedish putty. Also, if you have a trim board that is bare wood, that has some holes in it, that isn't completely smooth, you can also trim it out with the Swedish putty. So the next step in our process for applying Fine Paints of Europe Brilliant is the actual application of the product, the end product. We've gone through the preparation, we've gone through the priming, and now we want to talk a little bit about at the point that you are ready to apply the finish coat. Now this part I can't stress enough. When you're doing the high gloss Fine Paints of Europe finish, the Hollandlac, you have to have an area that is dust free. Any airborne dust will get in that product and not make it look smooth at the end. So to accomplish this, one of the things that we do is we set up an air filtration system in the room that we're going to be applying the paint. Another step is that we will wet mop the floor. That'll keep any of the dust from rising up. Now we've done this after we've gone through and thoroughly vacuumed and thoroughly tack rag all the surfaces that are going to paint. And at this point, when you are sufficiently sure that the dust is clear of the room, you can start your application. Okay, so now you're sufficiently happy with the dust-free area that you're going to be painting in. You have to choose an application method. Basically, what brush you're going to use. Now, Fine Paints of Europe makes a really nice line of Omega paint brushes. They're natural bristle brushes that have a flagged end to it and are fairly stiff, or have the right stiffness to lay out smooth the Fine Paints of Europe Hollandlac, which we're working with, to make a nice mirror-like finish. So you have to get out your product now, the Hollandlac. What we like to do is we like to juice it up. Basically, we want to get it thin to a point that's really nice for us, because we're putting on multiple thin coats. We're not going to put on a heavy coat of this product. We want to do multiple thin coats. So we put a little bit of Penetrol. We put a little bit of Fine Paints of Europe thinner. And when I say a little bit, you have to judge it for yourself, because the conditions may warrant a little bit more or a little bit less. So we like to, gauge it just by the feel of it. Okay, so you put it in the pot, you stir it up, and then you filter that into another clean pot. Put a rag over that so that or a cover, so that you can protect it, and you're ready to go. You go into your area of painting, and you start the application procedure, and try to put nice thin coats, very even, not heavy, and lay it down. You're all set. So after the first coat has been applied and sufficiently dry, 24 hours definitely, 48 hours even better, we take a really good light and we shine it on the surface to make sure that there's no imperfections, no dust, nothing left on that. And then we'll take typically 320, 220, maybe even 400 grit sandpaper and go over that surface, and then go through the whole process again of getting rid of the dust, tacking it, for getting ready for our second coat. And we'll go ahead with the second coat, just like we did the first coat. I hope you found this video useful and answered some questions about how to apply the Fine Paints of Europe Hollandlac High Gloss Finish. I'm Dan Frost from H.D.F Painting, the fine art of painting, and this has been Top Shop with Frost.